guys from a podcast called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty Want to Talk to You. And I think and I said, you don't have to tell me what it's about. I said, if it's called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, you definitely don't need to tell me what it's about. And I'm going on. This is what I want to do.
It's a Seinfeld podcast. It's called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty. But I thought, this is what a podcast should be.
I just did the Seinfeld guys pod the other day. I came up with
these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh,
that one. Shout out. We've done it. I've done it. Have you did it?
I've not gotten a chance to do it yet. I'm looking forward to it.
It's so fun. They're so fun.
When I don't know, it must have shown up in my feed, but I see these guys tweeting about Seinfeld. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I find it's a podcast called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty.
One of the most popular Seinfeld podcasts is This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, co-hosted by Chris O'Hara and Tony Chula.
Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is 2 Up and 2 Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, Thirsty fans, welcome back to another episode of 2 Up and 2 Down. And today we've got the Sniffing Accountant from season 5. So, Tony, let's start off. What do you got for your first up here?
Sniffing Accountant season 5, Larry and Jerry. This is one for the ages, folks. Where to begin with ups? 2 pages of ups here. You're talking about just so much to choose from here. I don't even know. Man, oh man. A couple of these I have to make sure. I don't want to. You know what? I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this as my first one, and it's on the bottom. I have, like I said, I have a couple of pages here, so I'm pulling one out that's probably not even my top one, but friend of the show, Marty Rackman as Jake Jarmel, his scene with Elaine with the exclamation point and opening the bottle of wine. She's all happy. We talked about this. She's all happy. I have the best boyfriend. He's making dinner for her. They get home from a long day of work. Everyone's ready to go. Nice date night. Oh, she had the baby. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. And then he's just like, tell me. It's like the exclamation point. And then he just goes, maybe I don't use exclamation points as haphazardly as you do. But one of the best lines I've ever heard in an argument in my life. Just that's it. She knows it's over now. And then it's the whole, she's like, using this sentence and this sentence. And he goes, I'll use one. And he does a little point on this sentence. And he walks out. She's stunned. Can't believe that ended like that. Went from one of her best nights to just, crashes down because there's no exclamation point on the baby thing. And it's weird. I kind of almost agree with Elaine on this one in a weird way. Like you should be using an exclamation point on that. She had a baby. Yeah, put the exclamation point down. I get Jarmel too, not as haphazardly as you do. I just love that line. We talked to him about it. He was a great guest on our show. So many ups to choose from. We'll get to all of them, but I'm going to use that as my first. I've always loved that scene. It doesn't happen that much to Elaine. It happens to George all the time, where it's up and then down in a minute. And Elaine was just shocked. She couldn't believe it. Her voice after he walks out the door with his point thing. I love his point thing. It's opening the bottle of the wine, the whole thing. Jarmel, first up.
All right, yeah, good pick there, Tony. So, Chris, over to you. What do you got for your first?
Enthusiastic today is my partner, Sniffing Accountant. So, listen, this was October 7th of 93. 28.4 million people watched the Sniffing Accountant. Of interest that night, you guys will appreciate this one. On ABC, of course, Matlock. Fox in Living Color. On CBS was Game 2. Phillies and Braves. Okay? NLCS in 1993. Braves won 14-3. Greg Maddux did his thing. Obviously, that was 93, so the Phillies went on to the World Series. But interesting stuff. Okay, here we go. All right, he went Jake Jarmel, of course, friend of the show. To Tony's point, there's so much. Some of this we can get to in the grade. I'm going to go. I love the opening scene. I think it just sets the tone. The three of them, Jerry with the ridiculous sweater, George obviously living with his parents, Elaine discussing Jake Jarmel and the feeling of the material, and Jerry, what a jerk, all of them were just crushing it in that one scene. They felt the material, and Elaine going, yeah, I was looking hot. Like, you felt that there, right? And she did look good in this episode. And then obviously the sweater talk, that's what back in the closets are for. I mean, this opening scene was packed with it. And then I'm not even going to use it, but then obviously Barry Prophet comes in and kind of just puts the icing on the cake of this opening scene. Incredible stuff. I mean, no better way to lead off a show than that first scene at Monks. Marvelous, marvelous work. So, yeah, that's my first up, opening scene.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Chris. So Tony, back to you. Follow up with your second up here.
Yeah, I almost used that as my first up. I almost used it. I love Elaine. Why don't you ask your mother? You live with her now. Don't forget to wash your hands before supper. I mean, unbelievable. As I mentioned, everyone in that scene just nails it. And then it just cuts. And I don't know if I should. I guess I will now that we're here because I'm talking about it. But I have so many written down. I can't believe I'm not getting to the other ones. But I'll just use this one because right after that scene, it cuts right to the dinner that George is talking about, and that's also one of the greatest scenes of all time. Probably one of it might be Frank's best scene. Frank and Estelle together's best scene, possibly in the whole series. I bought this ketchup. This is my ketchup. I'm gonna use what ketchup I want. And then the whole, Lycra spandex, get out of here. About the cup sizes. I based my whole life on cup sizes. Got the A, the B, the C, the D. It's like a spandex. Yeah. You actually get a pair of underwear back in 2 seconds. I mean, everything they say to each other, the two parents, he didn't know anything about bras. I'm not, the whole thing there. Just incredible. That George living with his parents, going to get the bra salesman job, the two of them, it's quintessential, quote unquote loser George, he has his own catch up. He's had to deal with these two psychopaths yelling at each other about a bra the whole time. What's great? Phil Kasikoff is the one who gets the job, but then he goes and interviews, with what's his face, Pat Cronin, a friend of the show. Farkas, but I never really see Phil Kasikoff. It's interesting. And the name of the place is J.D. Gromit, right? So that's another odd thing there. But it was those three different names. Anyway, taking away from the scene here, incredible scene. The whole bra conversation, the Lycra spandex, the takes 3 seconds to get a pair of underwear. Cup sizes, 2 hooks in the front, a loop in 2 cups in the front, loop in the back. Incredible. That's my second up.
Yeah, that's such a great scene. The dynamic between those three, the Costanza family. So yeah, great pick there. Chris, over to you. What do you have for your second up?
Incredible. And folks, we've been doing this a long time. I've never heard such passionate 2 up from my partner here. So, where we go with this, we'll see. I mean, God, the Costanzas, there's a lot here. You know what? Because we'll talk about it in the grades, obviously. It's packed. But always loved Jerry, Kramer, and Newman in the car before the big scenes of the bar with Kramer, which, that's a layup there. But those guys in the car talking about what's today, it's Thursday, feels like a Tuesday. Tuesday has no feel. Shut up to both of you. Like, he just yelled at them. Maybe we'll become private detectives. Like, these guys are grown men in their 30s. They're in a car, drinking soda, Love the whole thing. And then even when Kramer gets out, the whole Dento tape conversation and Jerry just pulling the tough guy act, like, you stay here. I might need a soda. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was just so well done, so well written, so well acted. And those three together, which, we see them in the apartment, but you never really see them outside that much together in that kind of capacity. So for me, that little stakeout scene, I don't know. It doesn't get much better than that. And that's just a piece of this incredible pie here. So, but I got to give it its due that I always enjoy that. Every time you mention a day of the week, who doesn't say, oh, Tuesday has no feel, right? Incredible stuff. So that is my my second up of the Sniffing Accountant.
All right. Thank you, guys. Such an incredible episode here. It's hard to imagine we have downs. So, Tony, back to you. What do you have here? What's your first down?
Yeah, it's very hard to find downs. Very hard to find downs in this episode. Not going to lie. It's interesting how O'Hara used that as an up because I agree with him on everything about that scene. Love that scene. Love the private detective stuff. Love the Tuesday feel thing. The whole stuff. Jerry to Newman. I may need you to get me another soda. The whole thing. Love it. Except the dental stuff. I don't like the dental tape conversation. Don't like the floss stuff. I have a thing with that just personally about people talking about teeth. I mean, Newman's flossing right there in front of Jerry and puts the thing down. And who has these conversations about dental floss and dental tape? I mean, I know that's the point of Seinfeld and everything's minutia, but I couldn't do it. I can't. It's just a weird conversation. Jerry gets mad at me. You're an idiot. You don't want to try it. Like, I wouldn't try it either. Newman's like, well, leave me alone. I don't want to do my teeth in front of you. The whole thing was weird. I never liked that part. That little snippet of the dental floss, dental tape conversation with Jerry and Newman is a very small down, but it's a down I could find because that scene, that part of that scene always kind of bothered me for some reason. I just don't. Not my cup of tea. So that's my first down.
I agree. So yeah, I like that as a down. Chris, over to you. What's your first down?
My partner is when Jerry's in the car, he just never likes it. I don't know what's going on, but I thought that was a fun scene. I didn't mind the dental tape.
It is a fun scene. It was just a dental tape.
But anyway, all right. There's not many downs. You know what? The ending. When Jerry got up, I thought he was going to confront Newman, and he didn't. It just ended. And then the girl came up to him. And by the way, the girl looked like Jane or Jamie Gertz a little bit. A little. I don't know what episode came first, but it was very reminiscent of her, which was interesting. But I kind of wanted to see what he was going to do. If he was going to rough him up, or what was because obviously he dropped the letter, it didn't get sent. I always wondered about that, though. If the letter's just sitting there, great. A mailman wouldn't have picked that up. What are your thoughts there? So anyway, I would have liked to seen some resolution with Newman. I don't mind how it ended. If it ended like that without him trying to go after Newman, okay, fine. But he was going after Newman, then got interrupted with the feeling of the thing there, whatever. So. Listen, is it a terrible down? No, but it's a down nonetheless. I would have liked to seen some sort of a resolution with Jerry going after our buddy Newman.
All right, yeah, thank you. Like I said, these are tough with such a great episode to come up with downs, which we're kind of nitpicking at. So, Tony, back to you. What's your second one?
He just took my big one. That was my big down that I really liked. I think he's right on point there. I don't like the line, half silk, half cotton, half linen. Can't go wrong. So dumb. It's like Jerry wanted to get that joke in or something. To Harris' point, I was watching it, seen this episode a million times. I'm like, I don't even remember that part. I thought he was going after Newman too, and then he stopped and didn't go after Newman. A couple of bear claws, Newman says, and that's it. Ending, I agree. That was it. The last 4 seconds of it, half silk, half cotton, half linen. But I don't want to use the same one. I do have one more written down. I'm not confident in this. You can't even really give it a down, kind of, but we had to find downs. I mean, I gave the up to the conversation with the bras and the Costanzas, but my second down is whatever happened to that lovely dress, man? I have this dance. Frank Costanza yelling at George. Not the best Frank. It seemed a little bit forced, if you will. I liked Estelle. Who goes around feeling people's material? That's great. But then I think Frank went a little bit overboard, just a tad with that line, the lovely dress and the may I have this dance. I thought they had enough early on with the conversation with the parents. They maybe didn't even need this one. I mean, listen, this is a near perfect episode, so this down is take it with a grain of salt, but it's not 100% perfect Frank Costanza. It's like, it's almost like he mailed it in, if he can mail it. I don't know if Frank can, but that was sort of a Frank kind of just, he didn't have the right lines. Maybe it wasn't quintessential Frank. 2 cups in the front, that whole thing is great. It's like a spandex was great, but a little bit off on that one. So that's my second down.
Yeah, well, he comes home with the bad news that he didn't get the job, so Frank's got to yell at him. So, all right, Tony, that's your second. So, Chris, over to you. What's your second down?
Yeah, the beauty of the show is the disagreements, and I love that, Frank. I mean, and again, I love the Estelle too, right? What can be gained by feeling the person material? Incredible point. Just simplicity, what can be made. And then Frank's old school, May I have this dance? I think I've used that line. Maybe that's why I like it. May I have this dance? Anywho, but yeah, listen, he's grasping here. We're looking for downs. I mean, and you might kill me for my down. I think it was the scene with Mr. Lippman. a little too much on the exclamation points. He's going through the manuscript and exclamation this, exclamation that. Like, Elaine had that cute outfit. I gave it a pass for the most part. But if they could have, listen, this was an episode jam packed. And I'm a Lippman guy, top 10 of all time, guest stars. And you almost forget about him in this episode, right? You got Farkas. You got Miss DeGrama. And you mentioned DeGrama. I think she's the head boss, and Farkas, and the guy Phil was like I guess the regular sales guy, friend of Frank. That was the pecking order, if you will. Yeah, I mean, so they threw Lippman in. It was a quick scene, a little too much on the exclamation points from him. The drum out stuff was great, and then obviously at the end it was great. Kramer and him giggling, whatever. Double exclamation point. But if I had to find a little, there was just a little much, a little extra juice we didn't need with Lippman, and I love Lippman, so this is hard for me to do, folks. But I'm going to give that my slight down.
Well, so there you go, folks. There's the ups and the downs of the Sniffing Accountant. So, Tony, back to you. Wrap us up with your summary of this great episode and your final grade.
Yeah, can't believe O'Hara gave Lippman a down. This is unprecedented, folks. This is that goes to show how this episode is. This guy loves Lippman. Wow, I wrote that as an up, by the way. Elaine's outfit, the way Elaine was great in that scene. Elaine was great in that scene. But hey, this guy, he's tough but fair. He's giving Lippman a down. Something's up. All right, listen, the Sniffing Accountant, we didn't even touch on probably one of the greatest scenes of all time, obviously, with friend of the show, John Kapelis, and other friend of the show, what's her face there, Peggy O'Rourke. She's the one who slams the thing in Kramer's head. Unbelievable. I mean, that scene alone, the whole bathroom scene, Kramer says, incredible. Here's the feeling good all the time. I mean, we didn't even get to possibly one of my favorite scenes of all time too. Obviously, I didn't use it as an up, but George talking to Farkas, George behind a desk, in front of a desk on an interview. It doesn't get better than that in this show. I don't think it does, barring some more unforeseen incident. I can go on and on. Even to Jerry's original stand-up starts the show with a great stand-up of the IRS and June and Ward Cleaver. This might go over a lot of heads of younger generation people. If you watch Leave It to Beaver, he nails Eddie Haskell. You got a great, beautiful living room here. Just incredible, top to bottom episode. I think I covered all of the ups. I mean, the whole episode's an up. Listen, this is as peak gets with this show. This might be my new number one. If we were to do number one episode, if we were ranking episodes today, I would put Sniffing Accountant number one. This is an A+. I would go higher if I could. I mean, this episode, boom, 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 boom. O'Hara mentioned the first scene, then it cuts right to the dinner scene, right? Then it goes right to Kramer. Did he use slang? Did he use the word man? That whole thing there with Jerry was incredible. Then the Jake Jarmel stuff, and then we didn't even get to the Sid Farkas stuff. I mean, enough said. A+ Sniffing Accountant.
Right. And like you said, none of us picked, or you guys didn't pick, any of the bar scenes really with Kramer and Barry, in which John Kapelos, in our interview with him, he had direction where he couldn't laugh. Larry told him he couldn't laugh during that scene.
So we're about to shoot the scene, and I think we rehearsed, or sort of there were lines were there, but Larry David comes up to me just before the scene we're about to shoot, and we have a studio audience there, and everybody's there, and Michael's in tune, and I'm all ready to go. And he says, "Listen, John, whatever you do, you cannot laugh, okay? You cannot blow a take here for us, because we do not know what Michael's going to do. The camera doesn't know, the editors don't know, nobody knows, but we're prepared for him to do whatever he's might do. And if it's great, and if it's funny, and if it blows the roof off, you cannot laugh, all right? You just cannot laugh, right?" And he was really pretty intense about this, because Larry's not a funny ha-ha guy, right? He's sort of a funny, and when he's serious, he's like, so I'm going, okay, and I'm getting it, because he's really being serious, because if I fuck up a take, then, there goes TV history, right? and I take my work seriously, and I also took how Michael was just dodging in and out of the humor. So the whole bit. So basically, what I had to do, we do a take, and he does some stuff. Now I can't honestly remember, guys. I can't remember the number of takes we did because I just immersed myself in the process. But I do remember after 1 or 2 takes, and the audience was going apeshit, and the cameramen were laughing, right? Cameramen have to hold themselves and sort of like, and sort of take their hands off the camera so that it doesn't shake. And the audience was all to my left, and Michael was to my right, my stage right, so as I recall. So what I did was I bit my upstage cheek. And you can kind of see during the thing when he starts talking, my jaw clenches a little bit because I'm biting into my cheek so I don't laugh. And when he did the thing where sometimes I like to get high all the time, and he has the beer with the cigarette and then he drinks it, that was totally not in anywhere, right? And he does it, and all I want to do, and the audience is going apeshit crazy. And the cameraman, everybody is, and I'm aware of that, but I'm here in the scene, but I just want to laugh, right? Because normally at Second City, I was kind of the funny guy, not the straight guy. So to be there in that situation was great and, enlightening, but fuck, he was funny. And then he drinks the beer, and then they open the bar, boom, and it hits his head, and all that shit happens. And that was electric, right? And at that moment, I really thought I was going to pee myself. I just really didn't, and I hung on like a good rodeo rider and made it through. And I'm glad I did.
But yeah, this Kramer with the cigarette and the beer, in my book, that would be the number one up of the episode. So, Tony, all good points. Chris, over to you. What do you have for your final thoughts here?
Love Tony giving an A+, but always giving a little jab to Jerry. Great to see. Classic stuff. What can I tell you? I agree. It's an A+. I mean, the Costanza, Barry Prophet, we didn't talk too much about, but how great was he? And obviously, Schmidt just told us about the scene in the bar. How about our guy with the pizza delivery guy, Mohair? Mohair gets me every time. I love that guy. Incredible. Just, I mean, the casting from top to bottom. Like, yes, the Costanzas, and boy, did they bring it. And they just brought in those scenes, like boom, boom, bang. I'll be there at 8. You talked about George by the desk, and then him touching Krista Miller. I mean, nonstop, to Tony's point. I mean, pretty much covered it all. But my name is Mitch. I'm hip. And then obviously, I love them back at Jerry's apartment sealing up the envelope. I don't know if you touched on that one, where Kramer and Newman are giggling and and then he tells them about putting the picture, and then Jerry opens the door back up again. He goes, "What? Like you took a picture of him in the toilet?" So anyway, incredible stuff. I mean, it just from top to bottom, I agree. This could be a top 5 of all time. So A+ around the board, no doubt.
All right, there you have it, folks. Again, one of the reasons season 5 is such a powerful season because an episode like this that contributes to the whole run of the show. So thank you guys. Appreciate your ups and your downs here, and we'll see everybody on our next episode.